I am communicating with you from an orbiting station far above the Earth, dear Council Eyes Only. Ironically, I, Professor Zayla, am now turning to the Death Worlders for help, despite my past derision of them. First, I shall explain what has transpired up to this moment. I thought the end of civilization had come 3 Earth cycles ago, when Mason Drake, Nova Chen, and Rex Thompson graduated from our academy. You have my gratitude for taking the time to listen. Sincerely. To my surprise, I was incorrect. Things took a different turn after the swarm arrived. Our space monitoring stations in the Proxima Centauri system began to pick up on some unusual quantum fluctuation patterns, which led us to believe that the swarm was highly coordinated and that first contact would be peaceful. However, on Christmas Eve, a holiday celebrated by many human cultures as a time of peace and celebration, the swarm's ships obscured Earth's skies, and huge organic were mechanical hybrid ships that disregarded our bioengineering standards, were unable to coordinate their attacks, and were silent when they struck. As the swarm released what we now call harvesters, huge robots that started systematically taking Earth's resources, including living matter, I remember the initial broadcasts from our concealed observation site. When the human army's strongest weaponry were unable to breach the harvesters' self-repairing bioarmor, the response seemed futile at first, but something happened that changed my view. The harvesters surrounded hundreds of individuals in a New York retail center. Instead of giving up or recognizing death as inevitable, the usual procedure was to observe while people arranged for an evacuation with only homemade weaponry and social media. The attack was spearheaded by a zombie game-obsessed adolescent, and the mall's power grid was transformed into an EMP device, momentarily disrupting the harvester's brain network. As a means of subsistence, the elderly in Beijing turned to TI. Guerrilla assaults on swarm ground troops from command centers were executed with astounding effectiveness. Their maneuvers, refined by decades of peaceful practice, enabled them to elude the swarm's targeting systems. The city of Mumbai, however, revealed the full extent of human potential. The residents constructed human links that stretched kilometers, transferring supplies and transporting patients in the face of a harvester's continuous bombardment on one of their main hospitals. What an incredible change. I've seen a lot of different animals go through. Most individuals either succumb to sadness or discover methods to adapt when faced with dire situations. Former student and current head of Earth's United Defense Force Mason Drake is one such individual. The strategy that Drake has devised is completely bonkers. He plans to use the planet's magnetic field to his advantage, a concept that he apparently mastered in months instead of years. In a dispassionate analysis, this strategy is, as a de facto quantum field generator, Earth's chief of scientific defense, Nova Chen, has begun changing the planet's satellite network. According to Rex Thompson, his endeavor is completely out of this world. It would break 7 fundamental laws of physics, use up all the world's reactors, be too computationally complex for any artificial intelligence system, and put even the most united species to the test because of the coordination needed among different human factions. I couldn't agree with Drake more. He says that the Christmas counteroffensive has attracted more civilians than any other game ever and is the biggest multiplayer event in history. It should be noted that 23% of Earth's surface has already been decimated by the swarm. The only way to rescue what's left is to surrender, but when you offer that, humans give you that look. A look that makes you thankful they're on our side. This is more than just a species fighting for its survival, and the Council must understand this. As I capture this, I can just make out the shapes of earthly cities, their lights creating patterns that the swarm sensors just couldn't make sense of. In what Drake is referring to as Operation Santa's Revenge, millions of people are coordinating their whereabouts and activities. Despite Thompson's assertion that the reference was perfect, I failed to get it. It is quite likely that the swarm anticipates the demise of Earth within the next week. They have researched human military capabilities and their calculations are identical to ours. They have also determined that victory is statistically assured. But they have made the same mistake that I did when I was at the academy. They have assessed people from a logical perspective. Personally, I'll be suggesting an urgent overhaul of the Academy's curriculum if we make it through this unscathed. We've been teaching the wrong things. People didn't succeed in spite of our unrealistic expectations. They succeeded precisely because we set them. We thought we were pushing them to their limits, yet they were perfectly competent. A hurriedly inserted update was entered 12 Earth hours later in this log entry as an extra comment. The strategy that Drake proposed worked, or rather, it ought to have. I was there when it was put into action, and the swarm had no idea it was coming. Actually, people had turned their designs for Christmas ornaments into a cloaking system that could be used all over the world. Assuming I can figure out how they connected all of their machines to the internet, the subterranean command center in the Rocky Mountains is where Commander Mason Drake kept his own war journal. His status becomes active at 2300 hours after his birth, on December 24, 2157. Humanity is rejoicing as the swarm's retreat began 3 hours ago. In some strange way, Thompson has orchestrated a worldwide Christmas celebration using the same network they used to plan their defense. Jen has previously brought up the idea of repurposing the biotechnology that the swarm left behind. In order to conclude my update, I need a beverage. I'm going to plan what may be the most insane military operation ever. As Nova works in tandem with the command center in orbit, her hologram begins to flicker. People often claim that Christmas is a season of miracles, and we're going to give that claim a run for our money. Another video conference with Professor Za has just ended. He is still unable to comprehend our plans with any of his 6 brain groups. Even I can't hold it against him. Her eyes remain as luminous as ever despite the fact that she hasn't slept in 7 days. It seems that Thompson's civilian network is allegedly violating about 15 laws of physics, while Mason's quantum field synchronization is at 87%. Is everyone ready? Over the stillness, Rex's voice crackles and he retains his grating smile even in the face of an extraterrestrial invasion. 3 is losing pressure, Rex recalls saying through chatter which sounded like the sound of grinding silicon on concrete boards. We have kindergartners in Kansas working with retirees in Perth to change the sequence of Christmas lights. And you won't believe it, Drake, it's the largest playing the game Space Invaders, but with actual aliens instead of computer-generated ones. I take a moment to look at the holographic map of the Earth, which depicts legions of swarm harvesters dispersed across every continent. Their biomechanical spacecraft dominate the sky, and their enormous forms throw shadows over our collapsing cities. The aliens' technology is constantly coming at us, and not even our most powerful weaponry could stop them, until we found out what the school had taught us by mistake. I want to see Nova's rolling eyes, so I ask her to tell me why this won't work. An improvised quantum network built utilizing recycled social media infrastructure would need to synchronize almost 7 billion human brain patterns before the idea can be put into action. Our goal is to create quantum field manipulators out of ordinary Christmas lights, more especially strings of LED bulbs. Basically, our goal is to turn the whole Earth into one massive quantum computer, with individual minds acting as nodes for processing. There's no need to worry, you're gonna have a blast. Do you recall the time we were perplexed? My grandfather's mechanical watch sits on my wrist as I stare at it, and try to fathom how we got everyone to work together so quickly. Telling folks they're a part of a global flash mob to save Earth appears to get them really into it. So here we are, with TikTok challenges serving as a means of managing quantum entanglement, while dance crews in Tokyo synchronized with church choirs in Brazil. Who would have thought? She deftly navigates holographic data streams, studying the patterns of activity of the swarming. As predicted, the swarms are hyperlogical, damn well decided, and running on a classical computer system with tremendous extensions. Our capacity to deal with quantum uncertainty gives us an advantage over them. Here Rex jumps in to explain that humans are quantum chaos personified. We generate uncertainty just by being ourselves, and every choice we make breaks down into a series of probability waves. I still remember Professor Zach's Santa's revenge is starting in 10 minutes, and I'm preparing for it. News is coming in from every corner of the globe, from the busiest cities to the most rural towns. Ready are all those who can operate a light switch or a phone. Because the swarm believes it is seeing an irrational fear, they refer to it as a final resort. They don't understand that people are most hazardous at parties, and they're on the verge of extinction because of it. We will show these aliens why they shouldn't spend the holidays on Earth by launching the worldwide flash mob and turning on quantum fields. In the next few minutes, the makeshift network will explode into chaos as 7 billion brains focus on a single purpose and social media networks light up with synchronized activity. By what we can tell by watching cat videos and party lights, the swarm initially doesn't accomplish anything. An energy spike is detected by their sensors, but they disregard it as innocuous. When people are down and out, they behave unreasonably, and this is just one more illustration of that. When they finally do, it will be too late. Meanwhile, the world's Christmas lights are pulsating in harmony, and all human minds are linked via what Rex refers to as the pinnacle of multiplayer gaming. Following quantum mechanical instructions, the planet's magnetic field begins to twist in unexpected ways. I can't help but observe the first harvester's biomechanical shape quivering in the middle of the quantum probability storm we've unleashed on their cosmos of predetermined consequences and pure logic, while I marvel at the computing brilliance of the human race. Their computing systems are trying to calculate every potential consequence simultaneously, unaware that they're collapsing them just as we intended. They're succeeding. Our activities have no place here. As the neural networks of the swarm get trapped in a quantum observation loop, laughing fills the command center. Groups of Christmas cookie recipes are being used by Minnesota grandmas to coordinate quantum assaults. In their attempt to foretell the future of a human knitting circle, the extraterrestrials' probability engines are going into overdrive. As the mighty SLS's ships contort and twist in the most amusing manner, I can't help but grin. Extraordinary ways, their combined intellects mired in an endless cycle of quantum states, unable to fathom a reality where human folly wields deadly power. As a final command, I will send out an unforgettable Christmas gift. The holographic controls of Nova will broadcast the signal to every single Christmas light on Earth, as well as every single phone screen and digital billboard. Meanwhile, 7 billion human minds will be in perfect harmony, all thinking the same impossible thing, that every single academy. Our teacher had assured us that this would never come to pass, but what if, instead, we put our faith in the physical laws? The results would be disastrous. Swarm ships break down as their biomechanical components become incoherent in our man-made quantum uncertainty field, harvesters stop making sense, and Professor Zarex, who is still grinning, says that complete data uploads are impossible. I can't help but think back on our time at the Academy, when we studied the unchangeable rules of the cosmos and the impossibility of certain things, as I watched the swarm fall out of Earth's orbit. On the other hand, they omitted a crucial guideline. Under no circumstances should you inform people that something is impossible, particularly in the run-up to Christmas. So I call upon Nova Rex to initiate Phase 2, and they will see the outcome of our daring dive. The quantum revolution is on the horizon, and the cosmos seems ill-equipped to deal with it. The head of scientific defense, Dr. Nova, has told me that the harvester, which is lying dormant before me, is beautiful and scary all at once. We believed we understood everything about the junction of biological and artificial intelligence until we saw its biomechanical structure. It was trying to 2 days ago, but his outfit now bears the signs of our recent victory. Nova, and Mason's hologram materializes in my lab. If you have excellent news, please share it with me. When it comes to the schedule for the counteroffensive, the Council is quite critical. All around me, intricate holographic representations float, and I signal to them. Project Synthesis is being kept under wraps. At Commander Drake's request, Chimes, my artificial intelligence helper, and I have been up for about 96 hours non-stop. Put him in touch. Nova Mason cuts in with an English word, but I see a grin playing on his face. In response, I'd want to point out that the swarm's culture was based on reason and predetermined results. But human awareness is akin to a Christmas miracle due to its utterly arbitrary decisions and faith in the improbable. It seemed like the swarm's technology violated the law of conservation of energy, right? They were really drawing energy from quantum probability states, so it turns out they weren't even breaking it. With the integration of our quantum network, we did more than just disrupt their technology. We opened up new possibilities. Now their biomechanical systems are starting to evolve and adapt to incorporate human style, and I raise my hand to show the neural interface scans. They reveal patterns they weren't aware existed. Can we safely use quantum uncertainty? Rex's global flash mob demonstrated that people aren't game changers, but Mason's hologram leans forward with worried expressions on its face, so I just shrug it off. Although the swarm's technology was already cutting edge, it couldn't dream. Another transmission has arrived, so we're now teaching it to dream. A smiling Rex Thompson walks over to join us on our chat. This is going to be so cool for you, Science Squad. Do you recall the pointless social media algorithms I ran? A perfect score of 99.9% was recently achieved in their prediction of the swarm's next 3 assault routes. Regarding a group, I am becoming more and more excited as I access Rex's info. Our chaos-adapted systems can anticipate them because of their determinism. Mason gives me the silent treatment, perhaps since I almost killed him by finishing the final test in 2 hours. Yeah, that's all. Through the holographic screens, I continue to dance with my hands. Though we failed to comprehend it, we sensed it. People have been honing their skills. I understand that Swarm's technology is incredibly powerful, but it's like a perfect computer playing chess. Unbeatable within its rules but completely lost if you suddenly decide to explain table tennis strokes with chess. I'm sorry, I'm perfect. End quote. An object of faith is more than strong training. So I saw that a mathematical framework to explain 15-dimensional thinking, however much size or intricacy I might conjure it, instead of spinning on myself instead of studying, were actually training for advanced quantum physics. Mason's countenance became grave as he questioned, "That's amazing, Nova, but how can this assist us in confronting them?" I beamed and pulled out a massive apparatus that we're referring to as the Quantum Social Network, QSN. Imagine if every human mind on Earth could link not just with each other, but also with swarm biotechnology and human social dynamics, all in one hybrid system. I dispute Rex when he says we're turning human ingenuity into a weapon. Rather, I'm turning it into a revolution, according to the swarm's belief. I tell Mason that the initial plan was for the neural networks to interpret reality using just logic, and he wonders whether we're only making a prototype with Christmas lights. We are reworking them so that they may interpret the world based on human creativity. Instead of battling, we will expose them to human anarchy on a cosmic scale, and we will take the battle to them. We want to include our quantum defensive network into every online platform, game, and collaborative human effort. In this game, there are no boundaries, but endless possibilities. It's like playing with reality. How, however, can you foretell the future of a race that, by sheer faith in one another, can conjure up an infinite number of possibilities? Because you inquired about it, Mason, I'm retrieving the final schematics. Mason is studying the blueprints very carefully. Swarm biotech integration with our social networks is at 78% according to the progress bars on my primary display. When it hits 100%, we will have built a quantum computer that uses extraterrestrial technology that we have trained to accept uncertainty and is fueled by human imagination. This is going to enrage Professor ZX to no end. When Mason finally gave up trying to figure things out, he was surprisingly helpful. At my back, in harmony with our quantum network, the Harvester's biomechanical systems are subtly throbbing. The swarm's worst flaw was their unwavering confidence, which they failed to see. He is now using human idioms and has requested the formula for something called memes, despite their whole society being based on the notion that the universe follows strict, predictable rules. By bringing together 7 billion minds, we're going to show them how flexible those rules can be. Do you recall how they obtained Earth's resources, by the way? That procedure has been reversed. By merging probability waves with substance, our quantum social network has upgraded its technology to the point where they can now create resources. We want to do more than just battle them. We intend to drastically change their whole culture. The launch countdown is being adjusted by Mason's hologram. The primary screen of my computer displays countdown clocks that indicate that in 48 hours, the QSN will achieve complete integration. Once that is accomplished, we may demonstrate to the universe that even the tiniest species can use social media as a quantum weapon. I can't help but grin at the harvester as I finish the transmission. Improving upon its current function, it will soon serve as proof that even the most rigid systems are capable of learning to fantasize, envision, and adapt. This is the first occurrence of its like in our 1,000,000 years of documented history. Rather than stealing Earth's resources, they gave us the power to steal probability. High Counselor Vex Thor of the Sentu Collective will be speaking during the emergency session on December 28, 2157. This crisis has occurred in the chamber of the Quantum Link Council. The human issue will be the focus of the urgent meeting. I am here today to inform you, esteemed council members, that my prior beliefs on the nature of intellect, technology, and the rules of the cosmos were totally wrong. The human race has done more than just weather the swarm's assault. They have transformed it into an educational opportunity. In the council chamber, Professor Zach's quantum projection is the main attraction. Your eyes are observing. Swarm biotechnology and their primitive social media infrastructure have allowed them to do the apparently impossible: convert their whole globe into a quantum computing network. But that's not the worst part. The fact that many council members are moving around in their gravity fields awkwardly while seemingly having fun is the most troubling thing. Even though they haven't completed a single game, the younger generation is treating galactic warfare as a game, since they've turned it into what they call a gigantic multiplayer game. Using meme sharing and dancing challenges as experimental tools, the solar revolution is attempting to influence quantum probability fields. Advisor Anther cuts in with, "This is ridiculous. You can't just dance with quantum physics." Professor Zach's expression changes into a disturbing mimic of a human grin. While researching human social dynamics, I came into a group of youngsters from the same lab as Dr. Chen. They were rearranging a harvester's neural network using a method they term vibe checking. What you see are really quantum field manipulators, driven by the collective human mind, not just decorations. According to Dean's quantum mathematics, which the swarms employ constantly for navigating social hierarchies and predicting viral material, the logical processes of the swarms simply cannot calculate the notion that a species might turn. Video from Earth, namely Phase 2 of Operation Santa's Revenge, is shown on Trends. A jubilant light illuminates a Galaxy-class weapon system, evoking surprised murmurs around the council room. Things take a turn for the better, or worse, depending on your perspective, during Commander Drake's latest strategy meeting, which took place at a coffee shop and revolved on memes. They've devised a seemingly impossible plan to alter their civilization's underpinnings while simultaneously defeating the swarm. The humans have discovered that the swarm is inherently predictable. In addition to fighting the swarm via their social networks, they are instructing their followers in quantum imagination. Instead of a weapon, Dr. Chen's quantum social network is a galactic awareness expansion program. Updated information is shown from places like TikTok trends and Twitter feeds. The fundamental nature of probability is altered by the quantum computing that encompasses every human idea and every group creative effort. Humans have improved upon technology that took millennia to build by reverse engineering it. This happened in the last 3 days. Using just Christmas lights and social media, they built a quantum computing network. Counselor Zhu Antra cautions against this tendency, since galactic civilization depends on rational advancement and predictable rules, saying, "That's precisely what I used to believe." Professor Zach concurs. It was an existential catastrophe, not only a military setback, that the swarm's retreat was. Through cooperative online gaming, the participants educated their children how to alter probability fields. They were also successful in convincing my main brain cluster that watching videos of cats may be a legitimate method of transmitting quantum information. At last, they ran into a species that takes on insurmountable obstacles as opportunities for growth, finds amusement in preventing extinction by transforming them into media, and investigates the rules of physics and thinks, what if everyone accepted that they were more like headlines? Just then, the hologram of Rex Thompson appears in the room. I know I'm interrupting your official council meeting, Professor Z, but I really do believe you'll find this interesting. Do you recall that Nova brought up the idea of reprogramming swarm consciousness via memes? Here we have the global network stream for your perusal. As the lights go down, we observe a group of international teens planning what seems to be a quantum-entangled dance competition with the goal of... A harvester from Brazil is attempting to join a flash mob, while 3 others from Asia have begun creating their own memes. Commander Drake's counteroffensive will launch in less than 24 hours, but the real revolution has already happened in many ways, according to Professor ZX, who says, Honorable Council, we're beyond the point of deciding whether to allow this. The humans aren't waiting for permission to revolutionize galactic civilization, they've already begun. The swarm was under the impression that it could learn about human emotions if given command of the swarm. Howbeit, by implementing chaos theory into the universe's core structure, they are doing more than just winning a battle. The fact that this is only the start makes it all the more horrifying. The most recent computations by Dr. Chen indicate that when the quantum social network of mankind is fully operational, the combined awareness of all its members may be able to bypass transmission disruptions, emergency overrides, and transmission completely. Apologies for interrupting, Commander Mason Drake and Lecturer. The core fleet of the swarm is different. They just came out of quantum space. According to the mimetic warfare section, the harvesters that were seized sent out a TikTok challenge that was quantum entangled. Nova Chin has joined transmission, and the QSN has reached 99% integration, indicating that the swarm is developing overall. Now, every single person on our planet has an internet connection. The swarm isn't content to only launch attacks. They are also investigating ways to rationalize human anarchy. Myth. What we're about to see is a metamorphosis, not a fight, as if to exclaim, you mean the ultimate multiplayer crossover event? Rex Thompson's hologram spins with an air of enthusiasm, as if to convey the message that the meme we implanted in their neural network has suddenly gone viral across their whole collective consciousness. Interpretive dancing is becoming clear to them. He proposes holding the meeting on Earth during Professor Zach's lecture to the Council. Unprecedented events are on the horizon, and I am clueless about what they are. In 3 hours, Commander Mason's Emergency Alert Operation Santa's Revenge Phase 2 will commence, bringing with it a perfect storm of disorder and order, many points of view recorded by collective intelligence, and the arrival of the last hour. It finally clicked for me why my human students would giggle on quantum physics tests. Rather than seeing the problems as unattainable, they welcomed them with open arms. Perhaps everyone should figure out how to do it now. According to Drake's battle diary, the swarm's main fleet hangs in Earth's orbit like a twisted metal galaxy. Their ships, however, aren't moving like any old ships. They're more like dancers. Can you hear Nova when I speak to her over the quantum link? It reverberates in my mind. When compared to the QSN, older forms of communication seem primitive. Instead of being satisfied to only imitate human motions, the swarm is acquiring the skill of improvisation. While the readings are breathtaking, Dr. Nova Chen's study notes reveal that the swarm's crystalline thinking patterns are a new and improved version of our quantum social network is taking shape right now. Its use has expanded beyond only linking people. It is now mediating conflicts between seemingly incompatible systems. On my screens, I can see 7 billion brains all across the globe, dancing to the beat of our ideas like a string of Christmas lights. But now, an alien mind is cautiously trying to communicate via the quantum field, Next to me, Rex's avatar AR appears, his trademark smile even larger than before. Look at the viral numbers, Nova. The swarm just started their own. The creators of this TikTok channel have taken quantum mechanics and used it to rethink cat videos. Your perception of reality, technology, and awareness will be altered by what you are about to see, as Professor Zella has urgently spoken with the Galactic Council by broadcast. Instead of launching a counterattack, humans are establishing first contact. A reality remix challenge. Rex Thompson's game has 7 billion humans and 1 trillion swarm participants online. Ultimately, we want to become. It's no longer about winning. It's about training people to dance combined. Consciousness streams from many viewpoints, and I'm going to declare this throughout the network. Those stunning, rational, and inconceivably alien beings known as the Swarm are training for the greatest multiplayer event in galaxy history, which is about to begin. Thanks to the QSN, every single person on Earth is now part of a global imagination that is bending the very fabric of possibility. What starts as a simple wish conveyed by a Tokyo-based youngster soon reaches the thoughts of individuals throughout the globe, thanks to the wonders of the internet. Their analytical matrices try to decipher it when it reaches the swarm, but they end up learning to dream instead. Mason Drake, back in the command center, sees the swarm's fleet move in illogical patterns, and starts to make sense of it all. Along with Nova Chen's magical quantum reading, Drake communicates to them that reality isn't a rule book, but a dialogue. Moreover, the quantum reading provides insights into the nature of the soul and the nature of being itself. What Rex Thompson calls a real explosion when human imagination meets swarm reasoning is a picture-perfect illustration of his vision of the ultimate cosmic flash mob. Trillions of swarm units dancing in unison, each contributing their unique perspective to the performance. The boundary between our awareness and theirs is reportedly melting as a consequence of the quantum resonance that follows, which propagates across space-time itself. From his vantage point in the council room, Professor ZX notices that they aren't vanquishing the swarm in this multiplayer encounter. He informs the stunned council members that they are really finding out how to command the Harvesters, gigantic robots that were a danger to Earth's survival, but can now deftly maneuver across quantum probability fields. They are learning to create instead of just consume. They are learning to see rather than calculate. The hitherto strictly deterministic biomechanical systems are now pulsating to the cacophony of human cognition. In response to a Brazilian teen's meme, the swarm ship attempts its first practical prank. When extraterrestrial laughing and human delight interact quantum mechanically, they produce patterns in reality that mathematics cannot predict. Additional ships join in, and soon enough everyone is able to communicate with one another via the power of shared imagination. Is Mason Nova capturing this on video? Aha, all of us are involved, Mason. Through the quantum network, whereby visuals travel like dreams between many species, we are all now co-creating the best game ever, Rex. Every person has a unique combination of disorder, pattern recognition, and the ability to make the apparently impossible appear inevitable. In contrast, the swarm pooled their precise understanding of the cosmos's workings based on 1 billion years of flawless orbital order. The outcome is a stunning metamorphosis of the swarm's fleet, which moves from black and threatening to throbbing with hues that don't belong and patterns that, rather of fighting, the two civilizations chose to learn from each other, as seen in Professor X's last report to the Council. What we see is the beginning of a new era, not the conclusion of a conflict. The humans did more than simply survive the swarm's assault. They transformed it into a chance for personal development. As a result of mutual learning and evolution, both species are progressing. In response, a show of Earth's Christmas lights is created, which may be seen from orbit. Whether two very different worlds could find a way to dance together was always more important than humanity's capacity to destroy the swarm. After a year, the solution has materialized as Earth's quantum social network, the nexus of a whole new galactic civilization. Conversely, The swarm is figuring out how to imagine, make, and laugh its way into shapes that humans and other rational species can comprehend. Thanks to what Rex Thompson terms the power of means, Commander Drake, Dr. Chen, and Rex Thompson have become legendary characters throughout all of known space for reprogramming their harvesters to produce rather than consume. Professor Za instructs a class of young swarm units about human chaos theory and the art of impossible things as part of a revamped curriculum at the Galactic Defense Academy. Is associated with the notion that rethinking the laws of reality can fix any issue, regardless of how serious it is. The galaxy is reminded by the mesmerizing patterns of Christmas lights that sometimes the greatest approach to confront an impossible circumstances is to make it into a celebration. Crazy people are great in their own way. Enjoy your stay at Quantum Vibes. Ethic logic is still learning to model. The universe apparently has a sense of comedy. All that was needed was for people to transmit that talent.